Alright, camera's rolling. Can you give me your first name and the branch of service you were in?
DALA, United States Marine Corps, 1st Force Recon Division. 2016.
Okay. Did you do any overseas deployments?
Yeah, 8 tours of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow, man, that must have been just insane. Just the things you must have been through and the level of responsibility you held.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing out here? How'd you go from 16 years in the Marine Corps to out here on Salem streets?
I always wanted to work with vets. I had a master's in counseling. I had served in Iraq and Afghanistan myself in the Marine Corps. So in June of 2017, I resigned my job. I sold most of my possessions, and I bought some gear, and I resolved that I would walk from Oregon to Colorado, Portland to Fort Collins. And basically I just wanted to go out there and find these guys who had been forgotten about, these vets who had served their country and then basically been thrown away by society or forgotten about by the VA. And so I just set out, and I would go into parks and go into the woods, and I would go to shelters, and I would go anywhere I could find them, talk to people, and they would tell me where to look. And I went into some pretty sketchy areas. I went into some parks, and people would say, watch yourself, there's a lot of drug activity in there, and people might see you as an outsider. I would trudge through the woods looking for these homeless camps. Some of these guys are living out there. They don't want to be found. They've kind of pulled themselves back from society. Just a lack of trust, a lot of deep hurts. It's interesting, in this country, people say, oh, we support our troops, and there's all these slogans and yellow ribbons, but 23% of the people sleeping on the streets or in shelters are vets. And you just think, well, that doesn't add up. The math doesn't work, guys. Something's wrong here if so many of our vets are coming home and ending up in the streets or not in a stable situation. Before any people or animals, anything like that, your greatest concern, especially doing something like this in the summertime, is water. Quickest thing that'll kill you is the heat, dehydration. So I had mapped my route along some rivers. I was walking along the Columbia River in Oregon, the Snake River in Idaho. Initially, the trek was estimated to take me about 4 months, about 14 and a half weeks. So I mailed myself a about 15 resupply boxes with food and water filters and just other stuff that I might need along the way. Well, it is Sunday morning, July 9th, 2017. About to get dropped off for this walkabout. How's everybody feeling today?
Good.
We need more coffee.
Enthusiasm is lacking.
All right, we are pulling into Sandy River Delta Park for the drop-off. Guys, it's not too late. You can take me back. Let's find a donut shop.
Hey, get that camera out of my face, eh?
Legendary pack. The one that will break my back 3 weeks from now.
Well, I'll just stay in here in silence as you bind yourself to that
There's
thing.
nothing left to say, guys. I've made up my mind.
Don't try to stop me, guys. Don't you dare try to stop me.
As I blink Morse code. Help me. Well, I put on too much weight. Can't fit in the pack. Let's go home.
It was all that carbing up before you left.
That's right.
How far away is this from here?
Heck yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be more than fine. I'm gonna kick ass out there. Thanks.
Love you.
Appreciate it.
Love you lots.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Have a great summer, guys.
Yep, you too.
I'm gonna walk away now before it gets weird.
Don't cry. Nobody cry.
Don't let him see you.
Foot tall grass.
My immediate reaction is just a visceral gut. I can feel it in my gut, just a gut ache.
Well, my reaction is that it's a pathetic response from our government and from our communities about how you deal with people who have done what they think is the right thing to do and who have been asked to do things that nobody should be asked to do.
Boy, that these people were willing to give everything for their country, for their families, and that they've kind of been left out, left behind, forgotten.
Well, it's just sadness. I mean, how can we treat a group of people that defended our rights and were sent off to war to do that, and now nobody's there at the other end to help them with all the trauma that they've gone through, and I think it's horrible.
I think it's sad, and I think it's, to some extent, it's a reflection on how we truly support our vets, not necessarily the rhetoric, all the hot words that we like to use and throw around all, the big promises, but what do we really do? Where does the rubber hit the road? That's the bottom line. Are we taking care of them? Are we giving them jobs? Some people really go out of their way to give vets jobs, try to give them opportunities. But for the most part, I think we let them sign up, we let them go over there, risk their lives, we bring them back, and then we say, thanks a lot, have a good time, and that ain't enough.
Our country's failing our veterans. I mean, we all signed a blank check up to and including our lives, and the country said, hey, we're going to take care of you, we're going to do what it needs to do, because you're out there doing what we need you to do. And really, it needs to be more services, more, not just to say throw money at the problem, but more funding available to get people in to the assistance that they really need, whether it's mental health. VA's overloaded. They were never designed for this many veterans to hit them all at once.
Definitely like an honor to be able to provide them the care, the respect, find them the services they need. I've been here over 3 years now. We develop relationships with the residents and the veterans, and sometimes we're their family members. They've either no longer have family members or they never had children, so it's definitely touching, caring for them, getting to know them as people, not just as residents or patients. And
what we do is towards enhancing their quality of life. We make sure that they have a reason to get up in the morning, whether it's just walking down the hall and saying hello to people, holding their hand, sitting and having a conversation, playing games with them, taking them out.
Making sure everybody feels important, useful. We go shopping for them, we're their friend.
we have had residents that have come and received services and are still receiving services from us that live here that were at one time homeless. It's heartbreaking because, you know, when they are homeless, they're not necessarily having hot meals, they're not necessarily clean, dry, cared for, receiving the medications they need. It's very frustrating also, I know, for the outside of our facility, the services that VA is able to provide, because the resident or the person isn't then able to always make it to their appointments. They're not always able to ensure they have the best care for themselves. You know, there's also the mental health issue, whether they have PTSD, other mental health issues.
We do have from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, but for the most part we have a lot of Korea. But we do have a handful of Vietnam veterans that are in the building, and you can definitely see the difference between the two groups, because Korea and World War II veterans were treated a lot differently than the Vietnam veterans were when they came back. And you can see that in some of the attitudes that our Vietnam veterans have. They're a little bit more cynical. They're more frustrated. Yeah, that's the perfect way to say it.
I guess I noticed a difference too. Like she said, in Vietnam, the younger guys kind of prefer to be more like solitude, alone, not really interested in participating in a lot of the activities that we offer.
And they really don't want to talk about it.
Mm-mm.
You'll have more of the Korea veterans and some of our World War II veterans, they'll talk about it. Sometimes they won't, but generally they will talk about their service. A lot of the Vietnam veterans do not even want to acknowledge that it happened. I come from a military family. I'm actually, along with my mother, the only ones who did not serve in the military. But this is my way of serving because I have great respect for veterans and the things that they've done. And this is my way of giving back. And I love America, and I love our guys.
My father served in the military, my brother and several of my uncles. I'm super thankful for my freedom, just the opportunity to wake up every day and turn the lights on in my house, to turn the water on, to get in my car and be able to drive to work, to come to work here. I feel so fortunate for this job and this opportunity that I have to be here every day.
I ended up getting out of the Corps after my last tour and didn't have any money left and didn't have anything. I ended up homeless within a couple months, you know, and there's not really anything out here for veterans. You know, it's, no one really wants to help us. You know, they're more scared of us than anything. And, I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Sacrificed my life to help protect these people. Instead of them saying thank you, they're scared. I don't get it.
How can you tell they're scared?
The look in their eyes, body language, you know, answering a cell phone that didn't ring.
Just trying to avoid you.
Yeah. I don't think I'm that big, bad, and scary.
I don't know, 8 tours and Force Recon, that's pretty big and bad.
Nah, I'm just a normal jarhead. We do what Uncle Sam tells us.
Have you sought out the VA? I mean,
yeah.
Usually you can put in a package for housing, right?
Yeah, but they got to dot all their I's and cross all their T's. When your file is 7.5 inches thick, you know, it can take a little time.
How long have they said it might take for you to get a housing package approved?
24 to 36 months. So yeah, it's a long time.
So you're out here on your own for 24 to 36 months after 8 combat tours.
Yes, sir. I love my country, I love her Constitution, I love her people. I hate my government. This is what they do to me. You know, it's okay though, because when the enemy's at the door, I'm still that guy that'll stand between you and them.
What are some of your greatest challenges out here?
Finding a safe place to sleep at night.
Have you been able to find that?
Periodically.
You know, a guy with your level of training, do you feel safe out here most of the time?
Oh, most of the time, yeah.
Okay.
You know, but even somebody that has the amount of training that I've had, you know, you get enough people ganged up on him, and even Superman goes down.
Yeah.
You know. So,
and you got to sleep sometime, right?
Got to sleep sometime. Can't stay up forever. That being said, though, I can stay up longer than most people.
Are there any organizations? Is there anybody out here who helps vets?
There's some churches and stuff that do some good work for the homeless. For vets in particular, I'm not really sure, but I mean, some of the churches and some of the programs here, I mean, UGM does a lot of stuff, and Hope, it's community outreach, they do a lot of stuff. And the church over there in West Salem on 3rd and Girth, every Friday they put on a feed for the homeless. You know,
So at least you get a good meal.
Once a week you get a real good meal, you know.
Sure.
They feed you till you're stuffed. You know, they're good guys.
What would be most helpful to you right now? Either from the VA, from just the people, from the community. What would be most helpful to you right now?
A place to live and someone that says thank you. And means it. You know, I got a little switch in my head I can flick when I gotta go to work, you know, do my job, but I'm still human. You know, those things that I did for Uncle Sam, for people of this country, they're the things nightmares are made of. I gotta live with that the rest of my life. A little appreciation goes a long ways. Just someone says thank you. That means a lot. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the other guys. You know?